a devotee to Jewish humor. And I think he got his sense of humor probably from working at IBM for 36 years. Maybe, maybe not. He's published 11 books and he has a blog, and we're really, really excited to have him because I think we need some laughs. So here's Al Kustanowitz. Enjoy.
Good afternoon, folks. It's great to be here. I'm a new presenter, but to me you're a new audience. And you look like an audience that likes to be happy and laugh and smile, certainly smile. I don't know about the laughs yet. We'll figure that out in an hour and a half. But my goal is to have you leaving, laughing out loud, much more than you're doing now. Smiling is fine to start, but let's, what we're going to do today is, we're going to take a look back in time. We're going to go back and do a walk through history, 100 years, 120 years of comedy in America as expressed by Jewish comedians. So I want to take a quick look at the people we're going to be laughing at today, just a very quick look, and I'm sure among them you will find your very favorite comedians. Now, how many of you recognize all the names? I know a few of them you will. I guarantee you, by the time we're finished, you will have experienced all of them. We're going to trace comedy from burlesque to vaudeville, to radio, to TV, to the internet, to Netflix. So let's get started with that. First of all, let me say that if you were here 120 years ago in a theater this size, you would not be listening to lectures on Israel and the Palestinians, or about the national elections, or about anything. You would be at a burlesque theater, because that's the only form of entertainment that existed. There was no radio, no TV, no Netflix, no internet, no streaming, right? So, let this work. Okay, that's what you would be seeing. Minsky's burlesque, or some other form of burlesque. They were, at the turn of the last century, there were 5,000 theaters in the United States showing burlesque. Now burlesque, let's face it, was not a family activity. It was not family entertainment. It was mainly men who went to burlesque. And what they saw was big theaters, completely filled to capacity. And what did they see in the theaters? Mainly dancing girls, partly dressed, partly undressed. But there's so much of that people could take. So they had to break it up, like cleanse the palate. And so they had an animal act, or a juggler, or an acrobat, and sometimes comedians too. But the comedy was really slapstick comedy. It was in your face, pie in the face. Not the kind of sophisticated comedy that we've been seeing. The main period we're going to be talking about is like the 40s to the 70s, when everything came to a head in the days of television and nightclubs and other personal appearances. Burlesque was mainly song and dance, some comedy, but after a while we had the days of prohibition, right? And the Women's Temperance Union and all the protests against some of the risque entertainment. There were even picket lines that eventually closed the burlesque shows down. And what happened was people have to have their entertainment. So it wasn't burlesque so much anymore. A new name came out, and that was vaudeville. Right? Vaudeville. For a nickel, you could see a lot. And the acts were very similar to the burlesque acts. In fact, some of the comedians we'll talk about today got their start in burlesque, and it goes back to the late 1800s, the early 1900s. So they got their start in burlesque, and they moved to vaudeville, and then to a refined vaudeville, as they called it, which was more family friendly, so the women could come and bring the children. And when you look at the layout of acts, very small, but it's orchestra, music, a pitcher for the Brooklyn National Champions, a songwriter, singers, dancers, monkeys riding bicycles, whatever. What comes to mind is, what? The Ed Sullivan Show, right? Dean Martin Show. All of those early TV shows got their ideas and their start. They took vaudeville and brought it into the home. This one didn't change his name. Well, he changed his name a little bit. But if anybody can't guess it, you don't know Henny Youngman, right? So Henny Youngman of the Take My Wife Please, you'll actually hear him saying it in a minute. He was born in London, and he's known as a one-liner, and he was the inspiration for one-line comedians like, tell me, Rodney Dangerfield. You know, not a dirty word, not a questionable comment, clean jokes. They don't do it anymore. It's impossible to find today. Benjamin Kubelski, come on, you all know, right? Okay, Jack Benny had trouble with his name. He tried to change his name a few times. He got sued twice because there was a famous violinist named Jan Kubelik who was upset because one of Benny's trademarks was playing the violin poorly. And he felt that it didn't look good for Jan Kubelik, so he tried to sue him, and he changed the name. He didn't go anymore as Benny Kubelski. He wanted to call himself Ben K. Benny. But there was a comedian named Ben Burney who sued him also, because he also had a fiddle as part of his routine. So finally he got back to just plain old Jack Benny. And he met his wife. Oh, and I've given it away. I'm going to ask you what was her name. Mary Livingstone, but her real name was Sadie Marks. And he met her at a Seder for Passover, at which Zeppo Marx was also a guest. So there's a lot of interaction between these old-time comedians. He had some very good characters. Part of what made his shows, radio and TV, so funny and so well-loved was Mr. Kitzel and Rochester and all the other characters. And Mel Blanc, who played many, many different roles. He was known as the man of 1,000 faces, 1,000 voices. Mel Blanc did, Elmer Fudd and Porky Pig, all the Warner Brothers characters, Yosemite Sam. But he had such a wide range of characters that he played. This is one of the classic Jack Benny bits, where it wasn't a situation, a sitcom, but it was on stage. He was working with Don Wilson, his announcer, trying to find a talent show, to find somebody to appear on his show regularly. And let's see who comes out and what kind of talent he has.